now that we have 3 developed levels, we're able to go between the levels by collecting the coins on the level, and then once we collect the coins, we can hit the flag to leave the level. So we can go from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. Now, what happens if we get to level 3? There is no next level, so that event that we're using to go to next is not going to allow us to go any further. But if the player gets through what levels 1, 2, and 3, we should now create sort of like, say, a win scene. Let the player know, hey, congratulations, you won the game, as well as maybe an intro scene providing a text document in terms of a name of the actual game and maybe a play button to start for the process there. So what we can do is that we can go ahead and create those layouts. I'm going to add a layout. Now for this one, I am going to add the event sheet because this will be for the very first one at the very beginning. So I do want to add an event sheet to that. This layout, I'm going to go ahead and we'll do the one at the very end first. So I'm going to say this will be the 1 scene. It's using event sheet 1. Whenever you have things like this with generic names, it's always a good idea to rename these. And so event sheet 1 is, I'm going to rename this one to 1 scene events. Now, how big of an area do we want to build? Well, we're not really going to be dealing with the player and having all this extra area. We don't need all this. All I need to design is inside the actual viewport. So if you don't see the project properties here, make sure that you're actually on the scene, project properties, and I'm going to get this viewport size here. I'm going to go ahead and copy the viewport size, and back on my 1 scene is that I'm going to put in that size. And now I'm able to design inside here as well. And what I could do is I could use some of the actual tile map and do a nice little design on this. You want to keep it very, very simple. Is that the layers panel, on our layers, we have a background color. And maybe you want to change this to just a different color, solid color on the background there. Something maybe more suitable to the actual game itself. We'll go with like an off yellow just to show you guys the difference there. And what we could do is we could implement a couple of different text objects that we can use on the game itself. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to go ahead and insert new object. I'm going to go ahead and just use a text object. You could go create your own graphics for this and maybe put it in as a sprite, but for simplicity purposes, I'm going to use the text objects, and we'll call this the scene text. Something very simple. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to change my size. I'm going to make this a little bit larger, 36. And say U1. I'm going to make sure that I'm showing the text. I'm also going to change the alignment on there. And we'll put that somewhere kind of right there. And then what I could do is just create a simple sprite object that I can click on. Construct does have an actual button here, but this is for the form controls, not for an actual button that you would click on, say, on a web page or in a game. So I'm actually going to just use a sprite object, and we'll call this scene button, because it'll have multiple functionality for it. I'm going to go ahead and go to my paint bucket. I'll find a color to use. let's just make this very simple. Like so. And then on top of this, I could have another object on top of this as well. So I could insert an object here, and then we could create another text object. And I'll call this the button text. And this could say play again. Kind of overlay it right on top of that, like so. And now if I go to level 3, I have this one scene, and then on the events here is that I want to make sure that I'm utilizing the keyboard, but I also want to make sure that I'm not going over my events. I have 9 events left, so I'm going to be cautious on that for the free version. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up, and when the player, or we're actually going to use the mouse, actually, let's insert the mouse object. So right click, insert new object, and I'm going to insert the mouse for an on click. So go ahead and we can do mouse or touch. And on the event sheet here, I'm going to add an event that when the mouse, and then here we're going to do on object clicked. So on object clicked. Well, which object do I want to click on? Well, I'm going to click on the button text because it's overlaying on the button. You'll click that first versus the actual button background itself. And when I do that, then I can send the player back around. So system, and I can set the player to a specific level itself, so I can go to a layout here. Well, which layout? We'll just send the player back to level 1. Now with you, once we've gone over this, go ahead and take your time and your knowledge, and we're going to create a kind of a main menu or game intro scene and have you work through the steps to create that, and then have that be the first one that happens. Go through the design process as we did for this particular one here. So if I was on level 3, I play test my level 3. And if I touch the flag, you won, play again, go back to level 1, and now we're all set up. So take a moment, review the video, test your knowledge, create a new layout with a new event sheet that we can use here on the very beginning to get your game going. And thanks for watching.